Hi again. I'm back for another Q&A video. Yes, it is still me. I just colored my hair brown. So this video, I'm going to be talking about and responding to a question that I received from Jay. So Jay wants to know, how does one go about trusting their body enough to get to their set point weight? This person says, I just keep gaining, having cravings and feeding into them, and I still gain and gain more weight. So for those who are not familiar, a set point weight is a theory that if we are not following any sort of diet plan or exercise plan, if we're just sort of in a state of honoring our hunger and fullness cues, but also living a life that feels good to us, that our weight will naturally fall within a range, and that range can vary like 10 to 20 pounds. Okay, so it's a fairly significant range, but that if we just live our lives and knowing that our lives ebb and flow. So sometimes we'll be more stressed, sometimes we won't, and that affects how much we move and what we eat. But if we just kind of naturally go with the flow and we aren't trying to follow any sort of specific diet or exercise plan, our body will naturally settle into a weight range. And the thing is that when we're in the diet cycle, there is evidence that shows that the more that we go through, like we gain and lose and gain and lose, that our metabolism slows down and our set point weight ends up becoming higher and higher over the long run. So that's why you'll often hear people say, like, I lost 10 pounds but then gained 15. That's often what happens when we diet. So if we stop that, again, we'll just find ourselves falling into a natural range of about 10 to 20 pounds. So in order to get to that range, though, we really do have to stop the dieting. And that is really difficult if we've been dieting and weighing ourselves for a very long time. So what happens when we stop dieting and we just allow all foods in all quantities at any time into our life is that we'll experience an eating backlash. So if we've been restricting ourselves or telling ourselves for so long that certain types of foods are bad, that we shouldn't be having them, if we've been restricting our calorie intake, there's a physiological backlash that will happen. So if we've actually been under eating and not getting enough nutrition, the body will respond by wanting to just fuel us to eat more and more in order to get those calories back, that sustenance, so that we can remain healthy and nourished. But there's also a psychological component to it. So it's like they say, don't think of a pink elephant, right? And then you think of a pink elephant. It's the same thing that goes when we restrict so much, then we just want to eat everything that we had been thinking about but couldn't eat. So there is that period that you have to go through, and how long that takes varies for each person. And so the biggest thing is to really trust, to develop that, or to develop this trust and know that this is not going to last forever, even though it may feel like it's lasting forever. And what our set point is, we don't know. Okay, honestly, we don't know. And I know that may not be what you want to hear. Understanding that the fear of gaining and gaining and gaining is fat phobia. Okay, it's diet culture and it's weight stigma. So there's such a negative association with fatness and weight gain in our culture that understanding that that's where this fear is coming from. Because if we think about it, if we weren't really afraid of gaining weight, what would be the big deal if we kept gaining? We might just be curious, like, oh, I wonder how much weight I'm going to gain. But that fear is associated with this weight stigma. So anyways, I know for myself, when I stopped dieting and I started intuitively eating, I went through a eating backlash period where I just kind of ate everything, and I was like, when is it going to stop? When am I going to stop craving food? And when am I going to stop gaining weight? I didn't know. And I think it took about a year and a half, I'll be honest, for me to kind of settle into what I say now, like my weight has stabilized. I have no idea how much I weigh. I tossed out my scale when I started this, when I started intuitive eating, but I've been able to fit into my clothes, and I haven't really seen my weight fluctuate that much within within at least a good 6 months. So trusting that you will find it, what it looks like, you don't know. And that's why it's so important that we also work on our internalized fat phobia and internalized weight stigma. So what we've come to believe about ourselves, the fear around the weight gain, because that can stop us from getting through this this period where we're reaching our set point weight. So it's about developing that trust. So I hope that answers your question. If anyone else has a question around this or anything related to learning to accept their bodies, stepping out of diet culture, I will pop a link below that you can actually submit your question and I can talk about it on an upcoming video. And if you haven't yet, you can download my Body Acceptance Jumpstart Guide, and you can share that with people there's some really great resources in there and how to start this journey of stopping dieting, stopping the body hatred and this obsession about being thin and having the quote unquote perfect body, and coming to a place where we actually inhabit our bodies and live life that feels good to us regardless of what our body looks like, where we come to appreciate and love our body just as it is. So thanks so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.